3,000. That's right, we've flipped more than 3,000 profitable houses and can teach you how to do the same thing. Click the Academy link for your free roadmap to financial freedom. Hi there, Peter Vekselman. So today I want to talk to you about one of my favorite topics, and that's negotiations. So let me give you an example of what happens even here in our office. And remember, we have really hard-nosed, top-of-the-line negotiators working on my behalf, negotiating deals. And even right here, we experience this all the time. So I know if we experience it right here in our offices, I know you're experiencing it back home. And so here's what basically happens. We have a negotiator negotiating deal, and basically the conversation with that seller ends by them saying, well, let me get back to you on that. And so here's how it plays out. Basically, they're going back and forth, and let's say the negotiator says, well, I'll pay you 50, and then the seller says, well, I'll take 60. And at that point, the negotiator may not exactly know whether that 60 is a good price. We try to give them as much tools and resources right on the internet and right in front of their terminals, right where they're sitting as possible, but they can get confused. They might not understand quite well enough the deal to know whether that 60 works. See, I know that happens with you all the time. You're negotiating with a seller, you're kind of going one way, they're going another way, and all of a sudden you get to the point where you're like, oh, I'm not even sure with the number that he's offering me, that's a good deal. So what our negotiators do is exactly what so many of you do. They basically stop the negotiations at that point, and they say something like this: listen, let me check my numbers, or let me run something by you, or let me run something by my investor, and I'll get back to you. What you may say at that point is something like, hey, I need to do some more research. Let me get back to you. That is an absolute disastrous way to negotiate. Because this is one thing you have to understand. When you're negotiating with someone and you're going back and forth with someone, you're at 40, they're at 80, then you're at 45, and they're at 75, and whatever the process is, remember, this is the hottest time you'll ever have that seller. They're in a negotiations mode. They've just proven to you 20 seconds ago they're willing to come down. My point is this: it does not matter if you have no idea where the numbers need to end up. It does not matter if you have no idea if what that seller is asking you during negotiations is a good deal or a bad deal. While they're negotiating, you got to keep on negotiating. Get it down as low as you can. So now let's go back to this example. We're at 50, the seller's at 60, our negotiators get confused, or you get confused. Don't stop and say, let me do some research. Don't stop and tell them, let me get back with you. Don't stop and let me run some comps. Negotiate. They're negotiating. Get them down from 60, get them down to 55 or 53 or 57. You may never be able to get that seller on the phone again to do any more negotiations. So while you have them, get it down as low as you can. Then when you get to an absolute stopping point where you realize, okay, that seller's done, there's nothing more to be had, there's no more negotiations to be had, then if you're still confused, then you tell the seller, okay, let me get back to you, let me run some numbers and all this. So the point is this: when you're negotiating, never ever stop. It doesn't matter if you know if that sales price is a good deal or a bad deal. It doesn't matter what is going on. As long as you're getting that seller down, get them down as low as you can till you come to a stumbling block, and then either stick it under contract or then do a little bit of research and get back to them. Never ever stop negotiating.